Hey guys, it's Jenny with Becoming Homesteaders, and I am doing a midsummer garden tour. This will be mostly my vegetable gardens. I am throwing in a few flowers, but let's do a garden tour. And remember, if you like my videos, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Time to do another garden tour. So I will be doing a garden tour today, showing you around my yard. I live in the city in Ohio, growing zone 6A, and we're going to take a tour of all of my different veggies and a few of my flowers. So we're going to combine things this time. I'm not going to focus too much on my flowers, but mostly on my veggies. So here we are in my oldest garden. This was the very first garden that we had here in the yard. We have expanded to several other different little gardens throughout the yard, but we have mostly my tomatoes in here. We have some pepper plants and some pumpkins. So this in the spring had my sugar snap peas. They did very well. We harvested those and froze those up for winter. And now we have my tomato plants and beets. So we did harvest some of the beets already and we processed those, we canned them up, but I did leave a few that weren't quite ready to harvest and I will be freezing those, but this was perfect. So we planted the beets first and then came through and planted our tomatoes. And it seems to be working out great. I will probably do this again. This was my first time ever planting beets. And they did amazing. They were easy to grow and the space worked out well. We are limited on our space here, so we try to make things work, like taking the snap peas out and planting my pumpkins here. We have a New England pie pumpkin, and farther in the back we have the Long Island cheese pumpkin. So there are 2 hills of those and 2 hills of the pie pumpkins. And like I said, we try to utilize all of our space. So this will only have a 2 crop rotation this year, a spring crop and then a fall crop. Some of the other crops in the back, we're trying to do a 3 crop rotation. We'll see how that goes. But the tomatoes this year have struggled a bit. So you can see I have 3 rows here. The farthest row does not look quite as good as this plant here. There looks like there are 2 or 3 of these Amish paste tomatoes that look really good, and maybe a couple on that row, but the rest of them have really been struggling this year. At the beginning of the season, we battled with the fungal diseases already. I did treat them with the baking soda solution that you can make and spray on them. This plant for some reason was not affected. So you can see these big, beautiful Amish paste tomatoes. The other ones, they don't look as healthy. They're still producing fruit. So, don't give up completely on your tomatoes if they do start showing signs of stress, because more than likely you will still be able to get a harvest. It's just going to be a battle. And I'm constantly out here picking off the yellow leaves and I'm treating them. So you just have to keep up on things, but I'll still get a harvest. It won't look like this plant for sure, but they will still produce for me. These are big, beautiful. I've not ever grown these. I usually do paste tomatoes, but these ones were Amish paste from Baker's Creek, and wow, are they big tomatoes. So I was very impressed with the size. I'm usually getting the regular little sized paste tomatoes. They're about this big. So these are a pleasant surprise. I'm curious to see how pasty they will be or how meaty they will be when I'm processing those. But I did get a free seed. I'm guessing when I ordered these seeds from Baker's Creek, I got this lovely, I think, mistake, but I love them. And if you get on Baker's Creek, I think I will put the name up of what I think they are. It's Tiger something, and I can't remember the exact name, but this plant's beautiful. They are, let me get you a close up. They are just beautiful. They have like a green and orange stripe. They're very tasty, super sweet. I just come out here and eat them like a cherry tomato. They're great in salads, but the clusters are just beautiful. So I was very impressed. So I'm hoping to try to save seeds from these as well as the Amish paste. So we'll see if that, I've never saved seed from tomatoes. I'm trying a lot of different seed saving things this year, but this is one of them. So hopefully, hopefully I can do that and it works out well for me. But these were a nice surprise. The beets down below, they look really good too. Like I said, we did harvest some, and they were just beautiful. I was very impressed. I also ordered those from Baker's Creek, I believe. But my pepper plants are also struggling with the fungal disease earlier this year. So it's kind of curious to see, because in certain sections the plants are struggling and then in other sections they're not. So I have jalapenos planted in here. The ones right in front of my tomatoes don't look so great. I'll give you a close-up. But the ones over here that are mixed in with the nasturtiums, they look a lot better than these. They don't look great, but they look better than these. Let me show you. So these are the little jalapenos. They do not look great at all. So I'm gonna leave them. I may get a very late harvest, like in October, but they're just not gonna have time to really produce a lot. These over here, if you can tell what's what, look at this nasturtium. This is just 2 plants, but they love it in this area, I guess. But anyway, these are the pepper plants. So this guy clearly doesn't look that great, but he looks better than the other guys. This one looks really good. He's very healthy. Got a couple jalapenos under there. Same with this guy. He's got a few jalapenos hiding under there. But it's just kind of sad. Some of them are struggling, some of them are not. And let me give you a close-up of my pumpkins. These pumpkins have only been in here for a couple weeks, but gosh, look how fast they're growing. So I'm a little bit worried about the space back here, but we'll see. Here's the outside of the fenced-in garden. This is where we had our carrots, and we had a great carrot harvest this year. Just enough for my little family. It was perfect. We will be planting some carrots for fall. But once those came out, then we did plant these squash. I have a lemon squash right here. That's what that guy is. And then we have 2 of the Black Beauty zucchinis over here. So they seem to like that location. I do have to cover them because they're outside of the fence. So if you noticed, there's like a screen protecting the fenced in area because we have a major pest problem, and the pests consist of rabbits and chipmunks and groundhogs. And yes, I live in the city, but we have all of these critters on top of all of the bug pressures that we have here. So it's a real battle to have a garden, but they seem to be okay here. I do cover them at night when I remember. I'll show you what happens when I don't remember. And then just some flowers here. My morning glories, my rain barrel, which I love. And then here's my herb garden. So this is a bit messy, but I just don't have the heart to cut him down. So we have a beautiful marjoram. That's this guy. Some chives. That is a morning glory right there. But then we have parsley in the back. We have a little raised box back here. That's where I have my peppermint because I don't want it to take over. We do have some little thyme that's trying to survive in here. There are a couple different plants. And then we have this oregano, which is just beautiful with all of the pollinators. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I just don't, it needs to be trimmed back for sure, but I just don't have the heart to trim it back when all these pollinators are here every day just feasting on these beautiful little tiny flowers. But it's going to happen eventually. But yeah, I'm gonna leave them up a few weeks longer, I think. We have some calendula that's trying to survive back there. That's a volunteer from last year. And then over here on this side, I have a clematis that has seen better days. It gets so hot up here, so it's kind of hard for that, but he's been here a long time. But then we have more calendula there. We have some rosemary that's back there that I have planted, more oregano shoots. This is a tower basil. I just love this. And another oregano. So we have lots and lots of oregano. We did have cilantro. This is what's left of him. He has some nice seed pods up here that are getting ready to go to seed. But those are usually volunteers too, so I don't ever have to reseed those. They just come up on their own, as well as the oregano. So all of these little guys are new oregano plants that just self-seed. I'm constantly pulling them up because they will take over this area if I don't. But we also have the parsley that does the same thing, and it is starting to flower. So this will go to seed and reseed itself too. Just wanted to show you this. It's not vegetables, but it is flowers, and I'm very proud of them. I tried to start flowers this year from seed. Wasn't sure how it would work out, but I did geranium, I did snapdragon. I've done snapdragons before, but the geraniums and the coleus, the petunias, I'm trying to think of what else. But anyway, this planter is all from my seeds. So I'm super proud of it. I think it looks beautiful. I didn't label my geraniums, so we do have a pink and then a coral colored geranium in here, but I think it looks just lovely. And these coleus are so pretty. We do have a little bit of nibbling, it looks like, from the bugs, but this one's just beautiful. And I have another one. So here's the other one. This one's a little bit bigger. So this has those beautiful burgundy chocolate leaves in this one. Look how big that coleus is. He's just gorgeous. And these beautiful pink geraniums. So excited about this. So I will definitely be doing this again next year. The seeds are very small. It does take a little bit of effort, but I think it's worth it. All right, so we're on the other side of the fence. The tomatoes are in the fence. We have more tomatoes out here, and this is usually where I have my really great garlic harvest, and it was very much a flop this year, so that is sad. But my tomatoes look beautiful. These I also got from Baker's Creek. They are a German pink. The plant looks very healthy. The tomatoes are beautiful, guys. Look how big these tomatoes are, and they're just so good. They're juicy yet meaty, very, very prolific. Look at all of them. So yeah, very pleased with this variety. They are on this side, and they're normally covered with a netting because the deer come through and just chop everything. So you can see this netting. I had it over everything, but somehow we had a windstorm come through, and I'm thinking it blew some of it over because these guys did not get nibbled, but these 2, 3 did. So they are probably going to struggle. Hopefully I'll still get some stuff from them. These are my poblano peppers. They did so good last year. I do need to come through and stake them and weed them, but you know, this is real life, so got to give yourself a little bit of grace sometimes, but not terrible. I will come through, weed them, put some mulch up around them, and I think they'll still produce a few peppers. So then this, yes, there's more weeds I haven't got here yet, but this is the onion and bell pepper area. It looks crazy in here. I've never tried doing this, but I interplanted the onions and peppers this year. So the peppers look great. They're not very big, but not terrible. I'll take it. The onions, however, these ones over here are really struggling. I just can never get my onions to bulb up. I fertilize them with fish emulsion. This is the sunniest spot in my yard, but they still have such a problem bulbing up. Some of them don't look terrible, but just disappointed because I planted a lot of onions hoping to have a very big harvest. So I'm sure I will still have some, but just not quite as big as I was hoping for. The bell peppers, they do look nice, so I can't complain about those. And we've had a few in some salads. The walls are nice and thick. They're just super crunchy. It's so much better having homegrown produce, isn't it? Because there's just something about that crispiness, the freshness that you get from your garden that you just can't replicate at the store. We have a volunteer tomato. He will have to go, but I haven't got in here yet. So then we have some kale and Swiss chard on the end, and I believe that it is just smothering these few bell pepper plants that are out here because they're just not doing too great. And then here we are back on the other side of my fence. So we have a lot going on in the yard, but we make it work. Just to give you some perspective on where we're at in the yard, this is the fenced-in garden that we just did a tour of, and back there is the corner garden. So let's go check it out. So as we're walking back here, I thought I would just briefly show you my flower garden. It looks really good this year. Things do need deadheaded. It does need weeded, but I just love it. I come out and I pick fresh flowers and put them on the table on the deck and bring them into my house. So I do love it. This is the new cut flower garden that I added this year, and just look at that. All the different colors, the sunflowers, the little sunny hedge sunflower, the dahlias, we've got snapdragons and zinnias. Yeah, I love it. So back to the corner, here we go. All right, so this is the newest section of our gardens. So the potatoes are up front. We have some of the Cracker Jack marigolds in front of each row of potato. Then in the back, we have the fencing there. It did not do so good. So my idea was to plant peas for shelling here first. Take those out then and plant my black beans, which I did both and neither did well. And I'm thinking that it's just not a great location. One, I don't think it gets enough sun, and two, it's right under this giant pine tree. So I'm not sure. I have amended the soil and I really don't know what else to do. So I won't be using that next year. We'll be using that somewhere else. I'm not sure yet. I'm sure I'll come up with a plan. But you can tell that it just does not get the sun that it's needing to, because look at my poor marigolds. They're all leaning towards the sun. So the sun does come up this way. So they do get most of the sun coming this way, but then it does get shady back here. But the potatoes look good. They did very well. So they look really sad now, but it's almost time to dig them up. So that's why they look sad. I did dig a hill of potatoes up here. We had 5 nice sized potatoes. I almost said tomatoes, potatoes. And so I'm excited to see what the rest of the potato patch will do. I have a good feeling, but we'll see. We did amend this soil. There's a whole video on making the bed itself and then amending it. But this is the back corner garden. So we have a couple raised beds back here. That back there is full of celery. That always does well here. I have a good harvest of celery usually. This was all greens that I have let bolt. I'm gonna try collecting some seed, we'll see. And then we have my sad sweet potato patch. Remember up front when I told you I would show you what happens when we don't cover things? That's what happens. So the deer just came through and completely mowed down all the tops off of my poor sweet potatoes. But that's okay. That's part of living here, and we know that we have to cover just about everything that we plant. The only thing that we really don't worry about are herbs and foliage that have a very sharp taste, like the celery. The celery, obviously the leaves taste like celery, so the deer tend to leave those alone. But my pumpkins, they are covered. And I'm so surprised that they wanted to nibble on them because, you know, the leaves are kind of spiky and don't feel real good, but they sure did nibble on them back there. But we do have a couple pumpkins. I don't know if you can see that guy right there, but hopefully he makes it. We have one red cabbage left to harvest and a broccoli that I have left that keeps sending up little shoots, which is a nice surprise. So we will be eating some broccoli. This is where I'm going to be planting my carrots, and I'll probably be doing that this week or next week at the latest for some fall carrots. We have cucumbers that we just put in maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half, probably about a week and a half. My poor grapes this year have really taken a toll because of the Japanese beetles. So let me go over and show you these poor things. And you know, you try to be organic and not spray things and put chemicals and stuff on, but this is so hard to do sometimes because all this work is just destroyed in a matter of days from all of the bugs and the critters. It is very disappointing, but then you have other things that just do very well and make up for all of your struggles. So back here by the grapes, we have a couple more areas of peppers. Once again though, these at the beginning of the season really struggled with the fungal issues that my peppers up front had. So we have two different types here. I'll throw those up on the screen, but they don't look terrible, but they don't look great. Lots of bloom, and we do have a few peppers on these guys back here, so we'll see. I'll keep you up to date on those. And then my herbs back here, we have a few more herbs in the back. Some basil, some parsley, dill, oregano, and some chives. Then behind the grapes, we have one lonely Mr. Stripey tomato. And I'm hoping he does okay. I would love to save some seed from him because he is so yummy and so beautiful. I'll throw up a picture from last year. We have a volunteer snapdragon. These are my poor strawberries. So we had a great idea to replace the existing strawberries up front, but they didn't do so well, and I killed the first batch. So another one of my epic fails this year. Swiss chard, isn't it just beautiful with its vibrant red color? Then over here we have some more kale and some celery in this whiskey barrel. That is where I had my spinach. Did very well. I collected seed from that, so we'll see. And then this was a free seed packet from Baker's Creek. Look how cute these little tomatoes are. They are adorable. Let me see if I can get a couple. Look how tiny. But they are packed with flavor. Another little raised bed with some kale in it. And then this is my beautiful celery. We've been harvesting some here and there as we need it, but we will be fermenting this, so stay tuned for that video. I did it last year and it was wonderful. I still have one tiny jar left. Talking about using space and seasonal planting, this first row up here was all cabbage this spring. We had a Chinese cabbage, and then we had a regular heading cabbage, the Golden Acre variety. So once those were pulled out, then we went ahead and planted the lemon squash, the Black Beauty, zucchini. We did leave the one cabbage back there, the red one, just to harvest him maybe next week or so. And then this is a volunteer pumpkin, but I thought I would leave him here. We were going to plant other pumpkins up here anyway, so he's a volunteer, so I'm happy with him. The second row was all of our broccoli. So we had an imperial broccoli from Johnny's Seed. We had the purple sprouting broccoli. So yeah, that all did really well. We just pulled that out probably about 3 weeks ago, and we're gonna be planting carrots there, like I said. The row where the cucumbers are, those were just planted about a week and a half ago, and that is where my cauliflower was. So we had 2 different types of cauliflower there. I'll throw up some pictures from earlier this spring. Those did really good. And then back there where the peppers are, we also had just a mixture of our brassicas. So seasonal planting, trying to pull things out and then reusing the space. So that's what we do here. Then over here where the potatoes are, we are going to be planting my fall crops. So the idea is to use the panel back here as like a hoop tunnel, and we're going to plant my cabbages and broccolis. So that's an experiment. Stick around to see if that works or not, but I did start those seeds already a couple weeks ago. You can see that video of what I started, and hopefully it works. Thanks so much for hanging out with me in my garden today. Be sure to stay tuned for some upcoming preserving videos. We're going to be having a lot of veggies coming in out of the garden. So we'll be doing lots of preserving, and we'll be doing different methods: freezing, canning, fermenting, dehydrating. So hopefully your gardens are doing great. And I hope everyone is staying motivated, and let me know how your gardens are doing. Leave a comment below. All right, thanks guys. See you in the next video.